Shut up and sit down. Shut up and sit down.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Virtual Life Uncovered. Today's tutorial is all about downloading that viewer so you can get yourself involved in your next fully immersive virtual life. If you notice at the end of our previous tutorial, you could have downloaded the viewers straight away from there. What I'm going to do is help you find the section on at least Tag's website, and I'm sure it's on a whole host of the other virtual worlds out there. That will allow you to download the viewer if you didn't have time perhaps once you signed up, or you just clicked out of it and forgot to download. So here we go, here's how to download your viewer. So as you can see here on TagGrid's website, it has a little bar here that says connecting. That's what you're going to want to press on, and you go to downloads. You've also got the grid info. Now that's useful if you already have a viewer installed, perhaps you're part of another grid or you've just downloaded a viewer before, but this will also give you information which we'll come back to. But at the moment we're going to go to the downloads section. Now the download section gives you options there for if you have Windows, if you have an Apple, Mac, or of course if you wish to use Linux. I'm going to use Firestorm. I've used Firestorm for a long time. Even when I was on Second Life. Second Life do have their own viewer, which is the Second Life viewer, but I have used Firestorm for a decade or so. So for me, Firestorm is easy to navigate around, but by all means, have yourself a look at the other options out there, do your own research. But what we're going to do today is we're just going to go and click on the Firestorm viewer. Now, as I said yesterday, don't be afraid. You're not downloading anything that's going to, you know, completely break your computer or your laptop or anything like that. And it's worth noting that you can use your laptop completely. You don't need a desktop PC. I run my virtual world from my laptop as well, so you don't need a desktop. You don't have to be sitting at a desktop. If you're tied to a laptop like myself, who you can't sit at a desk all day, then this is the ideal option for you as well. So don't be frightened to just try it out. There's no harm in trying these things. So the first thing you're going to look and you're going to note from Firestorm's website is there is a whole host of things available on there. Firestorm predominantly offer a viewer for, of course, Second Life, and they do a lot of work on that as well. So you've got a lot of information going on this website also. You will notice that at the top here it has Windows for Open Simulator. Now we're going to come and cover terminology in next video, but this is what you want to download. The difference is that they have two different viewers, for one that runs Second Life only. So if you want to just go on Second Life and just have a look around there, then what you need to do really is you need to find that Second Life viewer, which is always here in their downloads. So you just click on that and scroll on through. But we want the Open Simulator, which is basically the Open Sim platform. That is what we are going to use, which means that you can visit multiple sims as well, which again is something that we're going to cover later. But what we're going to do is just scroll down here, and this is the important part you need to look at. You need to know a bit about the specs of the system that you have in operation. If you've only got a 32-bit computer which is less than 4 gig memory, then this is the bit you want, whether it's a laptop or whether it's your PC. Most PCs, I would imagine anyway now, have at least a 4 gig plus memory, so this is probably the one that you're going to want to click on. So either just know the specs of your machine. If you're unsure, make sure that you find that out from your settings on your own computer or your laptop, whichever device that you're using. And you're just going to click on to go on and download through the viewer and through the information. So as you can see, when we've clicked on the download, here it's starting to download all the information that we need. Obviously this is going to take several minutes for it to be installed because it is a whole new viewer that you're putting onto your system. It's not just like looking at a web page and opening something like that. It's pretty much like downloading a game, especially if people can remember the old school games. Obviously it's not as bad as it used to be for downloading, but it will take a couple of minutes just to cycle through everything to make sure it's downloading everything. You'll understand why it takes that long once you get onto the viewer and once you see all of the options that are open to you. It isn't just looking at the visuals. You've got a voice on there. You've got the ability to talk to people via the in-world voice option as well. So there's a lot of stuff that it has to cycle through to put on your PC. So just give it time to do that download. Okay, so once we have downloaded the viewer and it's ready to go, we're going to press open here. I downloaded the files at least. We're going to press open and it's going to take us through to the next part of the download process. So you can fully trust this viewer 100%. I promise you, there's nothing to be frightened of. Yes, I know that it's a little bit daunting sometimes, and you know, you are very wary about what you're putting on your devices. Completely understand this, but as I said, I've been using this viewer for over a decade, so I can pretty much guarantee that you're not going to have any issues with your devices purely because you've allowed the download of this device. So I'm going to allow to alter what it needs to on my setup, because it does need to add the voice and things like that, as I said before. Then you can choose which language you want to have the installer in, so the information's all in the language of your choice. For me, obviously, I know it might be hard for some people to believe, but it is English that I'm speaking and that I can read, so we're going to stay with English. So here we go. And this obviously is your policy that you really should read in full. Now, this is your licensing agreement for the voice system. I have read this properly before, so I'm not going to sit here and read it while you guys are watching. You need to read it yourself though. Do please read it. And then obviously if you're happy to go ahead, then you just press I agree. Then what it's going to do is going to tell you where it's going to install the stuff on your system. If you want to change anything, now the point of install is to do it. You can obviously browse where you want to have it, but I'm happy for it to be where it selects to be because it's easy enough for me to find anyway. So I'm just going to click on install. Yes, I would like an entry in the start menu because that means it's easy for me then to open the viewer from that point. So I'm going to select yes for that. And here we go, it's going to cycle through all of the options. So rather than keep you waiting, we'll just pause this until we get to the end. This is the time that's a little bit time consuming. So now is probably the time to go and make yourself a cuppa or whatever you want to do. Just kick back for 5 minutes and just let it do its thing. Alright, so it's had its time to cycle through all of the bits and bobs that it needs to make sure that everything's installed correctly on your device. So what we're going to do now is just click on close, and then it's going to ask us if we want to start up Firestorm, and we're going to say yes we do. And then it's going to obviously go through all the bits and bobs it needs to do that. So now it's installing the actual viewer. So this is the viewer that you're going to use whenever you use any of your virtual worlds. As I said before, Second Life does have its own viewer, so if you want to use a Firestorm Second Life viewer, then you need to download that separately from your Open Simulator viewer. Now, as you can see, it's taken me straight into Second Life. That's because straight into Tag. That's because that is already set up on my PC. But what I'm going to do is show you how to add another grid to your viewer, so you can then use it to log in and do what you need to do. So what you can see here is basically the open page. This is for Tag Grid. As I said, again, these images all cycle through, as we'll probably do on other virtual worlds as well. But what we're going to do, what's helpful, is we're going to look at this here where it says grid. Now, as we're going to cover in terminology in a couple of videos time, grid is another word for world. So it's like if someone says I'm on this grid or I'm on that grid, it means they're on a particular world, a particular platform. So personally, I'm on the adult grid. And what you can do is you can click on that, and it gives you a list there of already pre-programmed in grids in virtual worlds that are already available for you to choose from. So you can see there you've got the Second Life grid on here as well. You've also got Kitely, which is another grid that people can go on. That's part of the hyper grid. You've got Discovery, you've got DigiWorlds, all sorts of things like that there, all sorts of stuff. But you will see there's a long list here, but there is a lot more available as well. So you can always add a grid. So if you bear with me 2 seconds, we're going to go and do that quickly, just so that if you need to do that in future, you can always have that to hand. So we're back on Tag Grid's website, and what we're going to do is go back to the connecting section where we pulled the download from. and you can see underneath it's got grid info. Now all of the virtual worlds that you want to visit, they're all going to have this information available. So if they're not already pre-planned into one of the viewers that you can download and what they can use, then you're going to be able to find their information from here. So what you can see here is this is the information that we would need. This is the information for tag. All other grids, as I said, they're going to have their own set of infos, but this is obviously what we would need to pull the information from. So this is what we're going to use when we do our setup. So that's the page on Tag Grid. So all you need to do is find the relevant page on the relevant website. So what you want to do is you want to find the URL, which is obviously this part here. Just highlight it, copy onto your device so you know what you're doing. Then what you need to do is pull back up Firestorm or whatever that you're using, whichever interface you're going to use. And then what you do is you go up here and you go to where it says Preferences. You're going to click on your preferences, and then you'll get things. Normally it comes up with general, chat, all of this sort of stuff here. What you're going to do is go all the way down to here where it says OpenSim. In OpenSim, what you need to do is you just need to paste that URL into there. Click apply. Obviously it's already in there, so it's not really going to do much. But you can see there as well, it comes up on the bottom there, Tag Grid, with all the information that you need. You can then type in the name of the grid. So that's the same if you find a grid that you want to use and a virtual world that you want to use. It's not in this list. It's pretty simple to make sure that your viewer will be able to pick that up by just doing that. That's simply it. Then all you'll do is close that off, and then the option will be here for you automatically. You'll be at the sign in page, which is where the fun really starts. So what we're going to do in the next video is our first ever login to Tag Grid, and which would be your first ever to virtual world, and hopefully you'll enjoy a bit of fun once we get there. So it's taken us a little bit of time to get this point, but I'm sure you're going to have great fun coming up in the next one. So that's it for me for today. I hope it's been a little bit informative for people who've never used or looked at a viewer before, and I hope to see you in the next video. But for now, from Virtual Life Uncovered, that's all. Please like and subscribe, tell your friends, and wash your mittens.